I literally just got a ding and I look down and it's your email. And it's like Taurus season is calling you in.
And I put the bull
To Align and Grind, the podcast where business strategy meets astrology.
and where we put the woo in the work.
I'm Karen, a holistic business coach, helping soul-led entrepreneurs build sustainable success without burnout or the BS.
And I'm Heather, a spiritual life guide, intuitive astrologer, and energy alchemist, here to help you align with your soul path.
Each week, we'll blend grounded strategy with cosmic insight, giving you the tools to grow your business your way.
By syncing up with your energy, your astrology, and your unique gifts. No more forcing what isn't aligned.
This is Align and Grind.
Let's start Taurus season. The sun moves into Taurus, puts the spotlight on that area on April 20th. But we'll start this a little early because we want to have 5 weeks to cover all of these Taurus second house themes, because the second house is one of the vocational houses. Taurus is the I have. So where Aries was the I am, Taurus is I have. And the second house themes, it's our finances, our money, what we value, what we own, our resources, what we love, and also like how we feel about ourselves. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So that's the planet of beauty and pleasure, our creativity and our art. So there's a lot to cover in this area. So I think that as much as we love and we feel like we fulfill our purpose doing our work, the more we value ourselves and our job, the more that we're going to make money. So that's important.
Okay, so you were saying that ruled by Venus.
Mm-hmm.
So men are for Mars, the women are for Venus.
Mm-hmm.
So feminine, so kind of talk to me about what, I have this kind of thing swirl in my head going, okay, so Taurus, I think it's very masculine when I think of the word Taurus, the bull.
Oh, yeah.
My dad was a Taurus, my daughter's a Taurus.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so I'm like, okay, so the feminine, right? How does the feminine play in, or does it?
No, it does. So, and it's fun because you go from one sign to another, from Aries to Taurus, and they're completely different. So, Aries ruled by Mars, masculine, action, taking initiative, our drive, our anger, and then Venus, more receptive, what I love, what I value, what is beautiful, like what feels good to me. So it's more grounded, which is, Taurus as an earth sign, it's that grounded energy of being very receptive and, magnetizing the things to us rather than like rushing out to get them.
Okay. Yeah.
It's that good balance between the two signs, even though you're right, it's the bull, it could either charge ahead, but Taurus can also be super laid back and just graze in the fields and, enjoy like nice little nap in the middle of the day. So,
yeah, and it's interesting because then I start, that visual starts to kind of come to mind, that, like the running of the bulls, right? Like, and just bullfighting, and just kind of like how much that they have to antagonize the bull in order for it to respond and actually take action.
Oh yeah. Ooh, that's
right?
a great visual.
Yeah, like that's as you're talking about, going, yeah, and that's kind of the feminine, right? Like that's we're that organic approach to things. We're sitting back, we're watching things unfold, we take action when necessary. And and as mothers, we know very much, it's like, oh, that mama bear when she comes out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't. So, and really Taurus, like that, when I think of that, that was my dad's energy his whole life. He was a very quiet demeanor person, but boy, if you got him angry, it took a lot to get him there. But when he got there, anger management was really good on him. But yeah,
and that kind of dispels one of the myths with Taurus also is, Aries, and it kind of helps dispel the Aries myth too. So I'm an Aries sun, which is, I'm really good at initiating things, and I am. But the follow through can be difficult. And then you have someone with that Taurus energy that can see things through and get it done. But it doesn't mean that an Aries can't see something through, and it doesn't mean that a Taurus can't initiate something. So it's nice how we can synergize these energies together and then also just be more aware of it so that we know, where we need to enhance our skills or abilities or what we need to do.
Right.
I think this plays out on a bigger collective, scale too, where, the sun is moving there and we think of, okay, we got excited, spring started, we, have initiated projects, ideas, businesses, and now we get to plant these seeds in the field and, and nurture them and watch them and bring those dreams that we had or the ideas and the goals and the things that we ran after now down to earth and really set that grounded, stable, nurturing.
Like those small steps. Yeah, no, absolutely, right. Those so like the small steps and things. I'm also thinking about, it's like the bulbs you plant in the fall are the first to come up in the spring. Right. So right now we're watching like the daffodils and the irises start to poke up. Yeah. Yeah. So, and sporadic too. Like I noticed I went for a walk in the back yesterday and there's like a clump of daffodils in the middle of like nowhere, like with nothing else around it. But there's this clump of daffodils coming up. And I was like, oh, interesting. Like the birds.
Yeah. Something moved it. Love it.
Yeah.
So pretty. Nature always finds a way.
Mm-hmm.
And, right now, so Venus is the ruler of Taurus, like we said. Right now, it's hanging out with Saturn. It's conjunct Saturn and the North Node. So Saturn is discipline, it's structure, it's rules. It's here to teach us a lesson. So a lot of people really dread, like, you hear like my Saturn return, any Saturn transits, but it does help us if we can learn the lesson that Saturn's here to teach us, then we can do great things with it. We can really succeed. And then the North Node of the moon, which is just a point, is where our soul wants to evolve to. So right now, this is kind of our collective evolution, but it's also working on a personal level. So we have Venus, what we love, and then we have Saturn, the structure, and then we have our soul path. So if we can really stay disciplined, hardworking, and structured right now, and just work and build on what we want, then we're able to, once the new moon on April 27th is in Libra. Now, Libra is also ruled by Venus. So it's an interesting dynamic how this plays out. And the new moon is the time that you want to plant your seeds. So that hard work now until the new moon, we can set our intentions. And then, do I still have you? Sorry, I know this is a lot.
Yeah.
And then Venus is moving into Aries. So it's been in Pisces and it's been retrograde. It's moving direct now. It's covering old territory. We were able to review and, decide what we love, what we value, what we want to put our energy into. When it moves into Aries, that's when the momentum picks up. That's when things start happening. And so we can use this so intentionally right now.
Well, because as you're talking, I'm thinking about kind of when we look at goal setting, right? It's, yes, there's that SMART acronym, right? The specific and et cetera, et cetera. But right now it's like that long-term versus short-term. So yeah, we may have planted bulbs back in the fall and that's the long-term coming to fruition now, right? But we've had to work, and now we're planting the short-term is what can we plant now that has the shortest amount of time before it starts to actually to bloom and come into fruition. So if you're talking, so what were you saying, like what, the 27th of is the new moon?
The new moon.
Right? And so then the full moon just happened
on the 12th.
The 12th. So this 2-week period, what we've been doing for the last 4 days. Now, as we move into this energy, we're saying, okay, how are we going to cultivate that in 2 weeks from now?
Yeah. And it's
that's that manifestation piece.
probably been something that we've been thinking about, dreaming in, because Venus was in a 40-day retrograde cycle. So during that time, if we really like think of, what goals did I have for my business? What things did I kind of want to revise? For me, it's been making things a lot more like clear and easy.
Yeah.
So I come up with a lot of ideas, but it's just keeping it very simple. And that's kind of what I've been reviewing if I think back on it.
Yeah.
So for you and anyone listening, what have you been kind of what's been kind of rolling around in your brain that you wanted to either redo,
Yep. Take
evaluate?
like a rebrand or a lot like reinitiating something that maybe you tried before that either wasn't successful or you didn't quite complete,
Right.
but because the timing was off, and now would be it. And I think, if we kind of stay on that, from a consistency perspective, like I think that's going to be something that over the next 2 to 3 weeks that we have to be intentional behind what that consistency is.
Right.
And I always tell people, it's like, yeah, you get to say what consistency is when society says you have to be consistent. You can be consistent weekly or bi-weekly or every day. But I think right now, consistency really is more obvious. You can't just do something once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency is daily and daily action, because it is a short-term burst. It's not like you're saying a daily action for the next 10 years. It's a daily action for the next 3 months. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do every day that's going to move you closer to that goal, mm-hmm. whether it be a short-term or a long-term goal? But it has to be a daily action item. It can't just be like, I'm going to do it once this week and then forget about it for another week and just do it every Monday.
I'm going to take notes. I think you're tapping into my energy right now. So give me an example. So let's say there's a business owner who's, wants to book more clients, has a service-based business.
It's going to be every day. You're going to have to answer the same question every day. Mm-hmm. And you're going to need to write the question because it's got to be specific to you and your business, but it's, in what you're saying. So it's like, okay, so as a service-based industry, I want more clients. Today, what did I do today to nurture relationships with at least 5 individuals?
Oh, okay.
How did I move the relationship through that know, like, and trust framework?
Okay.
So if you have, and I'll use, our Facebook group, right? We have 2,800 members. Well, where are they at in that know, like, trust place, right? Majority of them are in that know phase because they're members. Mm-hmm. So as the Facebook group owner, what am I doing to move them from the know to the like?
Okay.
Every day, what am I doing? And then from like to trust.
Okay.
So one of the actions that I started, I think it was 5 weeks ago, I get on and do like a 5-minute daily live question of the day. I call it the morning musings. Well, last week I started it inside the Facebook group.
Okay.
This week it's a get to know me week where I'm like, everybody reintroduce yourselves. Every day make an intro post about who you are, your business, and let's get to know each other. Mm-hmm. Because we do know each other, but do we like each other? Right?
Yeah.
Because so every day I'm asking myself, and that's, I think, what everybody needs to be doing right now. So because I think community is going to be so important that if we don't take the time right now to nurture, it's going to be too late in 4 to 5 weeks.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's not reinventing the wheel. It's going back to basics, and it's being more intentional with our actions. And I think we all probably have different areas of our business that we know need more attention.
Yeah.
And as a holistic business coach, do you find that there's other daily actions that kind of help you not only maybe tap into what needs the attention, but also the things that would move you forward that aren't necessarily business related?
Physical activity.
Okay.
And I think when people think, oh, I need to get physical,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, you go back to the 70s, right? Was it Jane Fonda, Let's Get Physical?
Yeah.
Is that who it was?
Wait, no, it wasn't. It was it
Oh my gosh.
Gloria Estefan? I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now we're gonna have to Google that. If somebody's watching, they know who it is. I can see her, but it's like, oh no, oh my God, now I can think of her, I can see her. But it's, like, let's get physical. Like every day you have to, yes, how am I nurturing those relationships every day? What am I doing to move the 5 people through that framework? But what am I doing for myself to move myself through the framework? So how do I get to know myself better? How do I like myself? How do I trust myself? And physical activity is the pathway to that. And it can be just really walking outside and standing in the sunshine and the warmth for 5 minutes and just centering and just saying, okay, I'm just going to sit and breathe and take in the sunshine. Or I'm going to go for a 5-minute walk, or but you have to do something physically. You have to be moving your body. Sitting stagnant means you are stagnant.
Because you're not moving. Yeah, it's like you're not moving these things through your body, even your ideas.
Right.
But you're right. It just, yeah, and what stays in, or what is in action stays in action, whatever that,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Action equals
Yeah.
reaction. Right.
Mhm.
So, or for every action, there's a reaction. So if we want movement in our business, we have to physically be moving.
Karen, that makes so much sense. I'm gonna write that down. And grounding is really our superpower right now.
Yes.
Not
Yep.
only when the sun puts a spotlight on Taurus, but we need to stay grounded in this climate. And we're going through such big evolutionary changes all
Yes.
around us. I have my grounding mat underneath me, but I need to get my feet on the grass.
Yep. And so if I were to describe kind of like the perfect scenario for anybody who says, I only have 5 minutes a day, what would I do in 5 minutes to allow myself to be grounded from a business perspective?
Mm-hmm.
I would say, take your socks and shoes off and stand in your bare feet.
Okay. No, I think that's the best advice.
Yeah.
Such good advice for everyone. And it's such a simple thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when we say these things, like I put it in my newsletter all the time. I wonder when I write it, like how many people are actually doing this, but I'm not actually doing that.
Right.
So maybe
Yeah.
that's why I question it. I'm like,
And the hard part is, especially, right, we live in mid-Michigan. So the winter, the ground is cold. You're not going to go stand outside when
I
it's
should.
right below zero and bare feet, right? Like, I mean, people would be like going, you're crazy, Karen. I mean, yes, you could walk outside in bare feet for like 2 minutes and you wouldn't die from it. You know what I mean? Unless you have extraordinary circumstances. So that's why CYA, just, be smart about things. But I mean, you can do it in your home. Like, you don't have to go outside. If you can't go outside for whatever reason, then just stand in your home in your bare feet.
Mhm.
If you have tile, stand on the tile, right? It's an earth element. If you've got wood floors, stand on the wood floors in your bare feet.
Very true.
Right?
Or go hug a tree.
Go hug a tree. Exactly. Yeah. But definitely, and just really kind of feel that connection with, and just allowing yourself to say, okay, so I'm moving the energy.
Mm-hmm.
As woo-woo as that sounds, it works.
No, it's true. And we can get so up in our heads anyways, especially running our own business, knowing that, we're the ones that we count on.
Yeah.
We can get all the numbers and the tasks, and, I will find myself just so up here that I'm not grounded, I'm not connected. But you're right. As soon as I do start to move my body, not only do ideas flow to me, like when I go for a walk, but that's do start to move. Even, like I've been feeling the heaviness of the energy right now, and we have a lot of Pisces going on. So anyone that feels tired, unmotivated, drained, that's 100% normal. We do have all planets direct, so it's kind of competing with each other. So it's like our mind, maybe our thoughts want to go forward in one direction, but then like our feelings are kind of dragging ass, like dragging back.
Yeah, no. I was feeling that this morning. I was like, oh, just just get up and do something. Like, and I had to like literally like move, and I kept walking outside with the dog, and I was like following this. I would like go out and I'd be like, oh, now we got to go further down the driveway. Oh, now we have to go over here because this obviously the sun was moving. But it was like I had to be outside more today. Like I
Oh
just couldn't
yes.
sit.
We need
Yeah.
to, yeah, we need to be so connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. And outside, and even if you can't get outside, just doing little things in the house.
Yeah.
I set a timer sometimes, and I will make myself get away from what I'm doing. And then, even if I'm just unloading the dishwasher or like the little tasks that are hard for me to like motivate myself on if they don't seem fun and exciting.
Yeah.
So I have to set timers to make it fun and exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that great,
Get it done in this time. Yeah.
yeah. But it does help. And I think a lot of people that own their own businesses also have, you're multi-passionate, you're neurodivergent. I think there are a lot of people out there like that who struggle with those same things. Like they can do all these creative things, but then when it comes to very normal tasks, some of us can struggle with that. So,
Yeah.
but it helps everything else flow.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So I think right now, especially with so much going on in the world, yeah, we need to move our bodies and stay grounded. And that's physically like putting your bare feet on the ground.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to, it's going to discharge a lot of things too. And really, if you think of us as electromagnetic beings too, with all of this going on up here,
Yeah.
that discharge from it, and getting, also when you're, working from home or running your business, you're in front of your computer all the time, you're on your
Right.
phone. So disconnecting from that when you can. I know don't you have a rule on yourself, like 7 p.m. everything's off?
Yeah. By 7 p.m. There's a rarity where I'm like online after, but most days by 7 p.m. and 10 o'clock, everything goes on do not disturb.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And they don't come back off of do not disturb until 7 in the morning.
That's nice. I try
So,
to keep my electronics out of my room too, to sleep better. And
yeah. Yeah. It's crazy because we haven't had a TV in our bedroom and ever. We've never had one. And people always like, how do you not have a TV in your room? And I'm like, the TV's in the basement, no place else in the house. Like, I don't, yeah.
People think I don't own a TV. I would never leave my bed if there was one in my bedroom. I don't want to sit downstairs
Right.
in the basement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. So, yeah, but that, circling back, that's the consistency, right? So consistently every day, what are you doing to nurture the relationships with not just your potential clients or your current clients, but yourself, right? So,
And our mental health is so important too.
yeah.
And like for me, I think it's like showing up online more often and putting my face out there.
Yeah.
So that's it. So I'm sure everyone kind of has an idea of what needs to be done. We do have support right now. Mercury just moved to the Aries point, so 0 degrees of Aries, which is
okay.
world axis point. And we talked about it on the last episode because Neptune moved there.
Yeah.
So Neptune will kind of soften it a little bit. It's more of that dreamy energy, but Mercury is our intellect, our communication, and our connection. It's also, this point is so highly visible in public. So if anyone turned on the news today we're recording on Wednesday, the 16th, a lot of things are hitting the media. A lot more truths being revealed. So we'll see more and more of that.
Yeah.
But in addition, it's the creation point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a powerful thing for any idea, project, creative, artistic, thing that we want to do to really make it happen right now.
Right. And I think this is where, we come up with ideas, as we've been talking about and, planting seeds, et cetera, et cetera. But it's also, we need to be able to make sure we're managing those expectations.
Okay.
And I think, especially with, with everything that's going on, right, it can be very fear-based and fear-driven. And so when we're thinking about the expectations, we're also thinking about those false expectations.
Right.
Right. So, fear being, if we use the acronym of false expectations appearing real, then as we're looking at, kind of those goals we're setting and how we're showing up consistently, what's going to creep in is that doubt and those false expectations. So when we want to manage those expectations, that clarity really allows us to say, okay, yeah, no, I'm on point. It's okay. Like, we're good. Like, yes, I'm having a moment of doubt, but I'm going to take my shoes off. I'm going to stand in the dirt for 5 minutes. I'm going to get grounded. I'm going to shift my perspective and say, no, we've got this.
That's such a good point. And with Neptune in the picture here too, and very much intertwined with Mercury at the moment. So our thought process, and depending on where it is in your chart, could be even more prevalent. For you and I, it is, by the way.
Okay.
So we can get lost in our illusions or fantasies. And for some people, and I try to keep it positive because I want us to use the energy for the most positive, in the most positive way. But we could also, try to numb out, and that doesn't have to be drugs and alcohol. I mean, we can numb out by doing tasks that don't necessarily move us forward, or by, watching too much media, or getting too consumed in things, or, overspending, because this is also a time to really think about our finances. Taurus is tied to finances, like we said. So, and with it by Saturn, it's kind of also saying, like, hold back for a little bit, be a little more cautious with how you spend for now, wait and see, look at your investments or what you need to move around, and, and that will pay off also, having the discipline in those areas.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, we go back to just the word consumer, right? We're consumers.
Right.
Yes, we may be small business owners, but we are still consumers. So what are we consuming?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just like food and beverage we're consuming. We're consuming the media. We're consuming the news. We're consuming energy from other people. So, again, like managing those expectations, what are you consuming?
Yeah.
So you might have to manage the consumption so you don't have to manage the other side of things.
And it will affect us so much. That's a great point.
Yeah.
All of those things that we consume, they're going to affect us. So putting kind of that barrier around ourselves and the people, and our friends, even coworkers, when someone is toxic or holding you back. It's a really good time to journal right now too. Journal through this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so that's why when we're talking about managing expectations, that's kind of what it is, right? It's like, one, those false expectations, but also what are we consuming that's implementing expectations that we're unaware of.
Yeah, no, great point. I'm taking my notes here.
Yeah.
So Mars moves into Leo on April 18th. So just a couple days from now. And that's our, where we can be courageous, brave, be more public on the stage. And it's not been so comfortable in Cancer. It's kind of made us stick more close to home.
Yeah.
Focusing more on family and things. So when it moves into Leo, it's kind of changing that dynamic. So it's a good time to also move forward.
So that's on the 18th that happens?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Because there's, not that I can really go into it, but like there's shifts happening that I'm seeing, and it's fast moving. So yeah, so I'm like, so that's going to be interesting to see how things over the next 3 to 5 days unfold.
Right.
And
in your personal life or in the world?
In the world, but for my business.
Oh, for your business. Okay.
So, yeah. So that's going to be.
That's right. We're doing a business podcast. Keep track of this too, and anyone watching, because even as much as I talk about this, maybe because I talk about this so much and I post it all the time, but I see things unfolding and I'm like, oh shit, like that's right. That's why. So I booked all of these mediumship appointments for tomorrow.
Oh,
And I'm like, oh, my Neptune, planet of like mysticism and, beyond the veil, is on my sun. And Mercury just moved to my sun today. So, communication.
mm,
Like, how funny is that? And without even thinking, and this is
yeah,
how connected we are because we are part of this. So these are just energies and frequencies that are part of us and working their way through us. But how funny
yeah,
that and I was like, oh, I don't know why I just felt like I've got to do this. And I put out a message and I booked all these clients and yeah, and then I was like, oh, well, this makes perfect sense. It's all in alignment.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's not my normal, as you know, that's not my normal practice.
No, yeah, that's completely
Mhm.
right. Well, and that was something we were talking about, in this morning's musings is the shift, right? So, like, this is a shift because it's new, right? There's this new energy happening in 48 hours. So now there's like this big shift happening.
Right. Oh, yeah, it's so interesting, Karen. I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I'll just go with wherever
Yeah,
the universe wants to take me, but we're also so aligned with our soul path and our soul purpose. And I know that personally will always be multiple things because I need that. I need different
yeah,
things. So I'll have different offers, but there must be a reason that I'm being pulled in that direction right now. And
yeah,
yours also something that's a little out of the norm, like out of the
yeah,
ordinary. Okay.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah, so it's gonna be what I find interesting is like it's like the multi-stream. And this
Mhm.
isn't just about me, but just as you're talking, this is a new income stream for you,
Yeah.
right? And so part of, as I've been talking with my clients and some of the community members, like recession proofing. And this doesn't mean that, yes, like there's a recession coming or anything like that. We're not going to predict that, with the economy, but it's, you always want to have like this concept of recession proofing. How do I make sure that I am adaptable
Mhm.
and it's not having all your eggs in one basket? No pun intended that it's Easter this weekend.
But we can't get eggs. So
Right. So, and the price of eggs is, but it's so like knowing that, like always, always knowing you have multiple streams, like not everything is coming from one direction, allows a lot more stability, right? Because you think of a table has four legs, right? It's more stable than a three-legged table, which is way more stable than just two legs, right? You always have to have three weights, three things, or it's why the power of three, right? So three streams of income and leveraging what you're doing and how does that happen just allows your small business to be that much more adaptable and sustainable in the long run.
would you say that that could be the different offers, or is it like, you have courses, let's say if you're service based, so you have your services and then you also have courses and a membership. Uh,
Yep.
or like with me, I have products, that I do because again, I have to
Yep.
have multiple things.
Three, right? So the mediumship that you're starting to kind of step into now, that's one, right? The coaching that you do, and then the products you have, that's your three,
Right.
right? So that just allows you to have that much more stability.
That makes sense. And what
Yeah.
would you say for someone who just has a product-based business? Or not just has you know what I mean, has a product-based business.
Um, Start looking at how you can leverage the products.
Okay.
So are they just a product, or can you turn it into a course,
Okay. Like
right? So
teaching people
bundling
how to
certain products into a course, right? You're going to capture different demographics than those that are just going to buy the product.
right. Or
So
bundle, like you said too. That's a good idea.
yeah. So let's use candle making as an example, right? Like you
Yeah.
sell candle products. Well, then put together a workbook that on how to make your own candles.
Mhm.
You don't have to give away your trade secret if you have a trade secret, but you can give the general concept of making your own candles. So that's a workbook. And then you introduce a course on candle making.
I like that. Or host events
or host events. Yeah. So kind of start looking, how can you leverage what you're already doing? It doesn't have to be brand new. You don't have to come up with brand new concepts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Having your own spin on it, or candle of the month, or
Yeah.
little bundles. Okay.
Yeah. And so
yeah, right now we're planting those seeds to build our stability and be recession proof, or
yeah.
when we could have, I mean, there's a lot that could happen, right? Like we don't want to get caught in that, because the world is so abundant. The universe is abundant and it always provides, but we also have to be grounded where okay, there could be supply chain shortages or price increases that people have to work around. The good thing is anyone who runs their business, they're crafty.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's where that consistency, when we start talking about what can you be consistent with?
Yeah.
Right. Always look at the funnel, and then that income versus expense thing. Like, where are you able to like start? And that's why, like, you don't have to be inundated by the news, but you need to be aware of what's going on, right? You don't have to be consumed by it, but you need to be educated.
Right.
Because you can't make decisions in your business if you're not educated.
Right.
And you're not educated if you only take your news from one source, which is why I'm always preaching multiple sources, international sources, independent sources, like whatever you're educating yourself and how you're educating yourself, it's got to be multiple streams again, right? One source is not stability.
Right. True.
One source of income is not stability. One source of news is not stability. Like, you've got multiple streams always. Yeah.
Understand what's happening, how it could impact your business, and then how we have to adjust and pivot. And I don't think that, I mean, you tell me your input on this, but I don't think it necessarily has to be, lowering your prices, but maybe offering more price points, or kind of, changing how you do your business. I've even thought of going to I don't even know if this is a thing, but like going to the local recyclers and getting tins. And, when I do candles, which I don't do a ton of them, but I could do candles in something that's sustainable, recycled like that. And then it saves me, but it's also like a positive for the consumer as well, to know that they're, consuming more waste. It's something that's being recycled.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, right? And again, it's everything goes around, comes around.
Yeah.
So, right? How are you making that impact? And a small impact is still an impact.
Right.
Yes. So we didn't pull a card.
No, but we can pull one right now. This week I'm going to say the energy is going to accelerate through this weekend. We can use it in a positive way, but just, pay attention to what's changing, what's falling away in your life. But it gets better mid-May. So it'll be intense, and we can use that intensity for a lot of good creative things, but we could see a lot of things that maybe catch us by surprise too. So.
Yeah, it was kicking my butt. Like, so talking as you're shuffling, it kicked my butt yesterday. So like, I don't have allergies, but man, did I suffer allergy symptoms yesterday. I couldn't wear my contacts. I wanted to scratch my eyeballs out of my face. Like, it was horrible.
Do you think that it was something internal that was coming out like that, or
I think so.
Pounding yourself so much?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of purging.
Yeah. All right, one fell out, so I feel like this must be it.
Okay.
It says, take a fucking trip. Go see some shit, do some new things, talk to people cooler than you.
I love it.
So there we go. I mean, that sounds good.